Hello, and welcome back to my channel. When I was a senior in college, I had 3 credits of electives left. My friend Tom Olian allowed me to go with him as he took pictures of the Center for Disability Rights, or CDR for short, in Rochester, New York. It was during spring break that we went. I have known the executive director of CDR, Bruce Darling, through the disability rights group, ADAPT. Tom Olian and I stayed at his house, which was fully wheelchair accessible, having a residential elevator. While I was there, I experienced a whirlwind trip from Rochester to Washington, D.C. and back in 36 hours. That trip opened the door to opportunity. As the spring semester of 2010 ended, I got in contact with Diane Colman, who was at that time the Director of Advocacy at CDR. Diane and I have known each other for years, probably since the Baltimore-Washington, D.C. ADAPT action in 1995, which happened to be my first. We have been to both National ADAPT and Not Dead Yet protests together. Not Dead Yet is a disability rights organization founded by Diane Colman that opposes euthanasia and physician-assisted suicide for both the terminally ill and people with disabilities. They were influential in exposing Dr. Jack Kevorkian and putting him in prison for basically the rest of his life. She hired me immediately. We agreed that I would be responsible for my own food and transportation, and CDR would be responsible for the lodging. I also had to submit written reports to my intern advisor at California University of Pennsylvania, which should have been just my blog posts. I also had to get special permission to use my waiver services for my attendant care in another state. If I knew the girl who worked for me for the last year, before I went up there, I would have taken her and she could have helped me with my activities of daily living as well as probably made sure I was including the right things in my report. I also contacted Rochester's paratransit company, LiftLine. They sent out an application for complimentary paratransit services. I took 2 Greyhound buses and a Trailbus bus from Pittsburgh to Erie, Erie to Buffalo, then Buffalo to Rochester. It took all day. Because the Greyhound station in Erie was outside of the town, I couldn't get food. The trip on Greyhound was interesting. We stopped in all these little towns in Pennsylvania. I had a 2-hour layover in Erie, then had to switch buses in Buffalo. When I arrived in Rochester, the local paratransit company LiftLine picked me up and took me to my hotel. Mom met me at the hotel, and she stayed in the hotel room next to me that first night. I also met one of my attendants. Diane told me that a major part of CDR's advocacy work is writing blogs. My first assignment was to write an introduction blog. At that time, I didn't know how impactful written blogs and vlogs would be to my overall career. On the first day of my internship, the entire advocacy department was going to Washington, D.C., including me, because it was the anniversary of the Olmstead decision. The D.C. trip involved legislative visits and a hearing chaired by Senator Tom Olian. Despite Diane and I being friends, she was harder on me than my college professors. I find that I work better if I am alone. She made sure that I earned those 3 credits. I did accessibility surveys, but never went out and actually measured. Never having lived in a city and only experienced rural living all my life, I found that LiftLine was amazing. I only used GG&C Bus Company and First Transit a few times when they did paratransit. Most of the time I used White Line Taxi, which only did 2 trips from the Monongahela Valley into Washington and back daily. I particularly like that you could buy a ticket at the beginning of the week, and you use the ticket all week. It was not a fair comparison. Coming from California or free direct town into Washington is a long drive, so it would make sense for Tony, the bus driver, to pick everybody that wanted or needed to come into Washington in the morning, then bring everybody home from noon to 3 or after 3:30. Even now, there is only one bus and one out of the city of Pittsburgh from Washington, unless you get on the Metro bus, and even then it only runs at certain times. The last weekend that I was there was Pride weekend. CDR had a float. They asked me to go. I went by myself using the fixed route system. Diane and I marched together. Since everybody is going to the Nickel conference, I decided to go home. I finished my internship. I got a C, which is okay. That internship helped me figure out that I don't like to be constrained and that I like to create. Since 2010, I have worked with both Anita Cameron and Diane Colman on multiple issues as relates to civil rights. I started doing my own blogs as well as my YouTube channels. It is interesting how it evolves. I would like to thank everyone at CDR and Rochester Adapt for putting up with me while I was there. I would like to thank you for watching and your support. Please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. follow me on all my other social media accounts, which are linked below. I will see you soon.